the intersection of social theory and technology. I ask questions of the technology. And one of the ways, and I ask it in this instance in terms of how geospatial technologies transform and socially construct urban and other environments. But before I talk about this, you'll see that my asking questions of the technology actually allow me to sort of surf in a lot of different disciplines like climate change and digital humanities. And one of the things I learned from being interdisciplinary and from working with a lot of different domains is something that I hope we'll talk about later today and tomorrow, which is respect for the boundaries of disciplines. So I just want to hope I'm not too curmudgeony when I say this, that I'm in geography, and I just want to point out that most of geography is social science, not humanities, and I wouldn't want the social sciences to necessarily overwhelm the humanities because they're really, really different fields. Social sciences don't often interrogate the text, for example. And also, just a pitch for geographers, where we model patterns and processes in space, so we look at why clusters occur, for example. And also to respect research in GIS, that GIS for people like me is not a tool. We're actually trying to push the boundaries of the technology and the algorithm development. So hopefully we'll talk a little bit about how we do interdisciplinary work that blends and advances all the fields at once. That being said, pretty pictures. So I'll just give you some small senses of what I and my students do. Here's one in which we're trying to take the poetic patterns of Christopher Alexander, and he's known for his urban morphology, but later on he got very warm and fuzzy. And one of the things we're looking at is the challenges of taking poems and feelings about space and translating them into digital space, and what gets lost when you do that transformation. Most of my work is looking at creating digital spaces for citizen participation and citizen empowerment, and of pertinence to the digital humanities, not necessarily the environmental humanities, is in what ways does participation on digital space transforms notions of identity in community when you force everybody online? I mean, there's obviously digital divide issues when you ask people to participate online, but it also reshapes our notion of what it means for citizens to talk to the state. So there's some platforms that my students have built. Here's a platform in which, we lost it, in which we're trying not only to look at how we use, in this case, mobile technology in mapping, so texting to maps, and how that not only transforms our notions of community, it bridges the virtual and the physical, but following Donna Haraway, how we actually hybridize the virtual and the physical. Because it's not so easy anymore to talk about the virtual distinct from the physical. We do a lot of visualization. This is probably what most people think of when they see GIS. It really is about visualization. There's work that we've done in trying to use SketchUp to identify where people may get hurt as a result of how space is constructed. This happens to be work in South Africa. So just as you know, these are illegal alcohol establishments, and what happens, the reason that there are posts here is that cars used to drive up onto these essentially all asphalted and hit people. So it's it's easy to produce maps of these kinds of interactions. It's much nicer and cooler to look at them in these sorts of platforms. And yes, I can see problems when you let people off in the middle of the street, like literally in the middle of the street. You're letting people off of an informal bus. What might happen to pedestrians? And last example, just to show you that people who do geographic information science research don't necessarily care about the map as output, is work that we do in geospatial ontology. So it really is about modeling geographic relationships. So it's like RDF work, except we don't necessarily worry about the output. We leave it to others to map it. And our interest is in, for example, disambiguation of place. What happens if there are contested locations of birth, for example? How do you model that? So that's it. That gives you a sense of the sorts of things I do, and hopefully we'll talk more about how we integrate geography and environmental humanities. Thanks.